Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. And of course, I'm Kim, and we are going to focus on fertilizing today. I have been away for the majority of the last 4 weeks. I've traveled every week throughout mid January, all the way up until this past week. And it's been 4 weeks back to back, only giving me a day or two at home in between trips. And with that being said, all I've been trying to do is just maintain, starting what I absolutely have to start and just maintaining other than that. We've just been watering, we've been doing a little liquid fertilizer, but that's about it. And as I looked into my seed journal from last year to see what are all the things I need to get started this year for this year's seed journal, and I was looking in here because I don't want to get behind right on seed starting. But as I looked at my journal to see what's next as far as planting, it looks like I am good for now. By now, I'm in zone 6B. By now, if you're starting from seeds in zone 6B, you should already have planted your onion seeds, your cabbage, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your kohlrabi, your Brussels sprouts. If you're doing Chinese cabbage, like a Napa cabbage, that should already be in the ground or from seed. I mean, you should have started your seeds, is what I'm talking about. And your herbs, there's certain herbs that you should have started by now. Thyme, marjoram, sage, rosemary, celery. I know it's not an herb, but celery as well. You should have started by now. Depending on other herbs, you might need to start them by now, but based on what I'm going to be growing, I'm okay for now. So I am good as far as seed starting until it looks like about the end of this month. So I have kind of like a 2 week window where I can just concentrate on my indoor garden and concentrate on up potting if I need to any of the seeds that I've already started. And we will be able to see if the seeds we have germinated, and if not, this gives us time to replace, put new seeds in, that kind of stuff. So I'm in a 2 week window before I need to plant something new from a seed standpoint. So we're going to focus on getting everything healthy again. If you look, some of these, they're not looking so hot. Some of them are yellow, and they're just not happy anymore because I've been away and I've been doing everything I can do just to keep them watered and not overwatered. And so I'm home. We're going to get back on track. We are going to use a granular fertilizer on our green stalks and for our young seedlings. I'm going to show you the process, which is similar to the process that I use for my green stalks, but slightly different. I use a liquid fertilizer. I use Grow Big. For my young seedlings, I have a 1 gallon container here. I have my Grow Big Fox Farm. And on your liquid fertilizer, it tells you how much you need to use depending on what you are fertilizing. So in here, it says that if I am doing a seedling feeding, I only need a half a teaspoon per gallon. A half a teaspoon. That's it. And if I am doing a general feeding, then I need 2 to 3 teaspoons per gallon. So in this container right here, when I'm doing my young seedlings, I do like a half a capful versus getting an actual half teaspoon out. But you should follow your directions. Don't do what I do. Do it as I say. But the direction says a half a teaspoon and per gallon. So this is a gallon. For my green stalks, instead of doing 3, I only do 2 teaspoons per gallon. So I shake it up real good. And then I'm going to do just a half a capful. Of course, you're going to mix it up. And after you mix it up, you're going to bottom water your young seedlings. And so I'm going to set this to the side for now because you've seen me bottom water so many times by now. There's no reason for me to show you how I bottom water. Now, and since this has fertilizer in it, so I'm going to be a little more conservative on how much water I pour in the container, because if the plants don't absorb the water, I'm going to pour that water off. And so then I'm pouring money down the drain if I have to pour a whole bunch of water off of my young seedlings because I've already put the fertilizer in it. So we will be very sparse with our watering so we can absorb from the bottom. So I'm going to set that to the side for now. I could do the exact same thing with my liquid fertilizer for my GreenStalks, but it's been a while since I gave them a granular fertilizer. There's a lot more soil here, and when I water, I am washing that fertilizer through the system so quickly. So at least once a week, I am using the liquid fertilizer, but I'm only using 2 teaspoons versus 3. And then it's been a little over a month since I used a granular fertilizer. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to add some granular fertilizer. We're using Dr. Earth. What is this? A 462. Low and slow, single digit numbers, N, P, and K. That's what we're going to be doing. If I read this container right here, let's see what it tells me, because y'all, I never read my granular fertilizer when it tells me how to do this. For established plants, use a cup per 10 square foot of growing area, or 3 cups for every 50-foot row. For containers, mix 1/4 a cup per 5 gallons of potting medium. Work in gently and water thoroughly. It's exactly the same for beans, corn, cucumber, lettuce, peppers, herbs, tomatoes, broccoli. Everything I got in here is exactly the same. But y'all, I ain't doing all of that. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not. I'm telling you to read the directions and follow the directions. And here I am going rogue. But I have this little container right here. I think it is 2 ounces. I think it's 2 ounces. I'll confirm real quick. I know this is 4 ounces, and I think this is 2 ounces. Let's see. Yep, it's 2 ounces. There we go. My little helper's sitting beside me. She's not in the camera because there's not a lot of room today, but my little helper's beside me. Lean in and say hi. Hi. Okay. So what we're going to do is take about half of this 2 ounces. So we're going to put about 1 ounce in each pocket. Okay. Yeah, we're going to put about half of it in here. I was trying to decide. And I got my little seed starting tool here that I'm using to kind of loosen the soil up where I'm inserting this fertilizer. And I didn't use a half. I used about 1/3. So it's 2 ounces, and I used 1/3 of the 2 ounces. And we're going to do the same thing in every pocket. So I can get 3 pockets with each cup, looks like. And my little helper is going to help me because she's going to fill it back up for me. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do a little maintenance too, because these tomato plants have gotten completely out of control. And I haven't been here to keep them going through this trellis properly. So they're kind of like all over the place. And I'm going to try to clean them up as I'm going here. I know there were a lot of people concerned about me growing full-size tomatoes in this planter. And yes, I'm still trying to grow full-size tomatoes in this planter. That is the plan. And this one actually needs some soil in it. So while I'm down here, I'm going to go ahead and add a little soil to these bottom pockets. Now, I haven't added any soil to these bottom pockets since I put these plants in. All right, where was I? I added soil to this GreenStalk back in, I believe, early November, if I remember correctly. And so that's just a guess because I'm not 100% sure. But they need a little more soil. And maybe it's because it's settled, because it's been a while. But I think they need just a teeny little bit of soil in them. I find these little bitty cups are perfect for the GreenStalk when you're trying to do like individual pockets. I think it's perfect. So I am going to spin on around here, and we will be done with this bottom row here in just a minute. It always seems that as soon as I put some granular fertilizer in, everything just wakes up, it gets all happy, and that's what we're looking for again. The potting soil that I'm adding is Fox Farm. Fox Farm Happy Frog is what I'm using. And there is fertilizer in Fox Farm too, so it's going to get another dose of fertilizer just with the Fox Farm by itself. I have tried many different potting soils, and I've tried the Ocean Forest, and there's Happy Frog. There's more than that, but I've tried both varieties of Fox Farm. The Ocean Forest holds more moisture. It's great when I'm outside in the summer. I love it. But indoors and early in spring, when I already have so much moisture coming in, I thought it was a bit much. It was holding way, way, way too much moisture for me. I feel like it just didn't drain the way I wanted it to. So now I am a Happy Frog only girl. I'm going to be a cleaning girl in a minute because I am sure dropping a lot of this stuff on the floor of this grow tent. All right, and then this is the last pocket down here. And I really am spilling it everywhere. And I'm going to do this for every one of the pockets on this GreenStalk. Ooh, y'all, that tomato plant is looking good. Oh, it's looking really good. I have some that are long and lanky, and then I got some that's looking amazing. But what I did down here, we're going to do on all of the different rows as I go up, if there's room to do so. Like right here, this lettuce right here, this lentus winter that's looking amazing, that needs to be harvested, that I'm not going to harvest today. We'll do a harvest video in a couple of days. I really can't get in here to give it a good fertilizer, so I'm not going to worry about it because it's still getting the liquid fertilizer once a week. Once I remove that plant and I put something else in that pocket, then we will add granular fertilizer at that time. Same thing like for this pocket here. It has a lot of lettuce, but the side of it's open, so I can give it a little fertilizer. May I have some fertilizer, please? I won't add any more potting mix to any of the pockets on these upper levels because I will be changing a lot of them out here shortly. And so we will add more potting mix at that time. Right here, I have green beans, and the green beans are doing amazing. They look good. The only problem is they're vining, and I did not want vining green beans in this planter. So that's where we are, and that's what we're dealing with. Now this pocket is empty. I'm already putting a fertilizer in it, so it'll be good to go when we replant it, as is this next pocket back here. The last time I harvested, I think it was lettuce in here, I got the whole plant out. So this one is ready for something new, which is cool. And that's it for these rows because the plants are just too big in the other pockets. So we're going to move on up to the next level. I'll do the next two at the same time because this is where my micro dwarf tomatoes are. And I have a ton of micro dwarf tomatoes, have a ton of lettuce. I can't really get to any of these pockets. So we won't be fertilizing any of these pockets, but I will take care of this pocket that doesn't have anything in it. And I have one more pocket with this teeny little plant. I don't know why this plant's not really growing, and maybe it's because it needed some fertilizer. So we will give it the fertilizer that it needs. And you know, I have lettuce plants on deck just waiting to go into this planter. So we're not going to lose any time on plants growing in here. Yeah, but this is just not happy. This one's not happy at all, and I don't know why. I also tried to grow carrots in here. I got one carrot plant, y'all. That's it. So when I redo the pockets, I will redo this pocket because it only has 1 carrot in it. I don't do a lot of granular fertilizer, but when I do, this is the process that I use. Y'all look at that bok choy. Doesn't that bok choy look good? Can you even see it? Do y'all see that bok choy? I'm gonna pick the camera up and make sure you can see it. Y'all look at that. Look at that bok choy. It looks so good, as does this lettuce. Mm-hmm. As my mother used to say, we're cooking with grease, y'all. All right, I'm all the way around on this planter. Let's move over to the GreenStalk that has all of the peppers in it, because that's the GreenStalk that needs the most love and attention. So that's where we're going now. We're over here to my pitiful looking peppers. Now these peppers were really for overwintering, so they're still fine. They are still fine. But if I want to harvest peppers while I am overwintering, I got to make them just a little happier. And y'all look at this. Gives you an idea of what we're going to be harvesting in a couple of days. Looking good. All right, so they don't look very happy, but we're going to make them happy because we're going to give them what they need. So for these peppers, I consider peppers to be heavy feeders. I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels to me like they are heavy feeders, and they need just a little more love and care than like lettuce. They need a little more attention than my lettuce does. I'm gonna be honest with you, than my green beans even. Peppers, tomatoes, they just need a lot of attention. So I'm using half of the container in each one of these cells versus a third of it. We used a half this time. And most of these, I mean, I'm trying to leave it here so you can see it, but they are not very happy. And they are looking for some food, which I'm going to give them if I don't knock every leaf off of it before that time. Some of these are dead, like this one here. We'll take that one out. And it actually rotted completely away. But I still have another plant in here that's doing okay. Here's that plant right here, and it's got a pepper on it. I have a pocket here that's got bok choy in it, and this bok choy doesn't like it down here. I thought I could get a harvest of bok choy while I waited on some new peppers to germinate and get big enough to go into the GreenStalk. This bok choy isn't growing at all. I mean, it's just sitting here. And maybe it's just too far from the light, and that's why it's so tiny. But maybe this little fertilizer will make it change its mind and make it start growing. There's another one that rotted away, and those are from last year. But you see there's another plant that's already in this space that is growing. Not growing very happily at the moment, but it is growing. There are quite a few dead leaves in the pocket. I'm not going to worry about those dead leaves. I'm going to leave them in there. We'll let them just compost right on in place. Now, while I've been traveling, my mother's been watering for me. And some things she watered perfectly. No issues whatsoever. Some things she overwatered, which that's okay. That's okay. All of my potatoes were overwatered. They were like soggy wet, but that's okay, y'all. I didn't really need no potatoes. We were just playing around, so it's okay. And I told her it was okay. She was so worried. She was just like, I told you I was going to mess up. I told her it's okay. All of those potatoes we got in there, it's quite all right. Even though I was a little bummed, but it's quite all right. I will also, I'm going to add a little bit of potting soil to some of these bottom pockets. Your potting soil will drop. Usually, even if I'm out in my outdoor grow space, my potting mix drops throughout the season and I have to top them off a little bit. Usually I do it if I'm succession planting. That's when I'll take the time to top them off. But with peppers, there's no succession planting, so you just have to find the right time to go in there and give it just a little more soil. And then clean up your mess after you make it. Because I know I'm making a mess. But this one got so many new green shoots coming off of this one. This one is definitely one of the 2-year-old plants. And even though it doesn't look so good up here, it looks amazing at its base. And of course, it's the purple one. Not my favorite. It's okay. Don't get me wrong. It's okay. Just not my favorite. And I'm going to do this for all of the rest of these pockets, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about where we are and what we need to do next. A few weeks ago, this top tier was completely like dried up and dead. It was completely infested with spider mites, but we took care of them. They're happy again. They're growing again. They're green and they're full. I thought I was going to lose the whole tier. And honestly, I believe I could have saved all of the plants except for maybe one. These look like brand new plants right here. And this was completely just infested with spider mites. I was treating every 2 or 3 days. And then I went out to once a week. And I'm still treating once a week just so I can make sure we don't have any more issues. So now it's more like maintenance more than anything. I just went online and I found something that said it treats spider mites. I was looking for something that was organic versus synthetic, just so I can try to protect, because I really don't like to treat any of my plants or, use any kind of spray on my plants, but I will. Just to ensure I get a harvest, I will. I absolutely will. So I found something organic. I'll put a picture of it up as well, just so you can see what it was. If things had not cleared up, I was going to put 7 on it. 7 is the answer to everything, but I try not to use 7. 7 is kind of like the last ditch effort to try to save whatever it is that's been infested with something. So I will use 7, not my first choice. It's more like my last choice. But once you get an infestation, you have to stay on top of it. That's really the key. And that's the part where a lot of people give up. They'll see a spider mite. Oh, I knew it. I was going to get a spider mite. Oh, I knew I was getting aphids. And then they just quit. But y'all, that's when the war just begins. You are just now going to war with those pests. Don't let them take you out. You stay in there. You stay on it. You stay vigilant. You will win. I promise you, you'll win most of the time. Ooh, this planter is in desperate need of being watered too. It's saying, please feed me, and I'm thirsty. Now that we're finished fertilizing everything, we're finished adding potting mix to everything, now we're going to water. When you're watering a GreenStalk indoors, you have to water very slowly. I have a tray at the bottom of my 2 GreenStalks to catch any water runoff. And just like with the seedlings, I don't want a whole bunch of the water to run off, because I just went through all of this work getting everything nice and fertilized and that kind of stuff. So you don't want to just flush it like you would if you were outdoors. We're going to water very slowly. So I like to, when I'm indoors, not outdoors, indoors, when I have my GreenStalks indoors, I keep saying indoors because it's very different when I'm indoors. I like to pour and slowly pour the water in. I like to fill it up just about to the spout that takes it to the next level. And then I stop. And then I go to the other GreenStalk. And then I come over to this GreenStalk. And I do the exact same thing to just about over where the spout is. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I know I can water the first tier. And once that tier is watered, it's going to drip down to the next tier and down to the next and down to the next, versus me flushing all of the tiers at once and then having a whole bunch of water coming out the bottom. So that's why I do it this way. When I'm indoors and I have these are original GreenStalks, so they have 10-inch deep pockets, and I am 4 tiers high. I won't put any more than 2 gallons of water when I'm watering it. I will walk away. I'll come back. If it's not enough water, I'll water the next day if it doesn't make it down to that bottom set of pockets, because I'm indoors, which means I have to be very careful on how much I'm watering and making sure I don't flood my basement out. Now I already see water dripping down to the second tier. So that means that the water is doing what it needs to do in the top tier and it's already making it down to the second tier. So this process, I've been doing this process now since October this year, and it's been working. I've been harvesting, everything staying relatively moist and not overwatered, at least when I'm here. So I'm going to keep using this process. All right, folks, that's really it. That's just a little indoor garden maintenance, trying to keep things going, getting things back on track since I have a 2-week time period where I can just kind of take care of what's going on inside versus having to concentrate on what I'm preparing for outside. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and I will keep these videos coming just for you. So until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you hang out at Kim's Cozy Corner with me.